And I will call this work session to order. Today is November 3rd, 2025. And everyone has seen the agenda. Are there any changes or amendments to the agenda? If not, the agenda is adopted as presented, and we'll get on to business. The first order of business is our food nutrition review.
Perfect.
Gina.
Thank you. So we've asked Gina to come in. I know we do this every couple years, talk about food nutrition, not only to help kind of educate ourselves as the board, but also the community. And especially as this time with kind of food insecurity and those things, it's a good review about what our kids are getting fed and the regulations we have to go through. And if we do have a little bit of time, a letter got sent out today to our families about kind of the food kind of crisis that's going on in our country. But again, it is really right now, and Gina loves talking in front of people, so she all day has been just, but we just want to review those things with you guys. So I'm going to pass these out, and then Gina's going to just take over. Yeah.
We're glad to have you here this evening.
Thanks, Pat. Thank you. Thanks. So I kind of just did packets of everything, kind of starting off like what programs we're running. So that first sheet gives you all of the current programs that we're running. And then the second part there is our meal locations. So just kind of let you guys know, it's like we're kind of all over the place when it comes to the district. We're serving in multiple locations for breakfast and different things like that. We're doing regular breakfast, national breakfast program, and then we're doing breakfast after the bell, which is how we apply for a grant to buy equipment and stuff for our cafeteria. And so we've got 3 different programs that we run the breakfast after the bell program. And so I didn't know if you guys wanted to have any questions about any of the programs we were running, or if you guys needed any definitions on any of those, or.
How long was the grant for?
So the grant is indefinite until they do away with the breakfast after the bell program. And so years ago they did a study and found that kids that are eating breakfast after the bell do better in school. And so they said it's because they are eating in an environment more like they would be at home. So because they're sitting down all together in a classroom or whatever, and they're all eating breakfast together, and then that way it's everybody's eating, and so it's not like, it's not cool to eat. So like, for instance, we have a lot of kids that, especially middle schools or one of our big buildings, that it's not cool to eat breakfast. So they just put it in the share tub and just walk on by. And so they'll just take one piece of something and then put the rest in there, and they won't eat because it's not fashionable to eat. So they found that breakfast after the bell works better because all the kids are in that classroom together, and so they all have the opportunity to eat at that time. And so they started that program in hopes that more schools would do that. And so we have the opportunity with 3 of our programs to be able to run that breakfast after the bell program.
And that's all cold lunches, correct?
So like breakfast after the bell, we have like hot, we'll do breakfast burritos, we've got pancakes, we've got waffles, we've got different things like that and everything. And so there are other, so for like instance, we do at elementary, we do hot breakfast, one of our, what we always call the high priced items, which is like a breakfast burrito, or we've found some different like breakfast tacos and different things like that and everything for breakfast. And then we do cold, and then we have another one that's usually like a warm one that we'll put in the warmers and stuff like that, and we serve them out and stuff. But yeah.
How often do you do the warm ones?
So the warm ones, they usually get them like twice, and then they get that one hot food, which we have to heat, and everything, and do that one. And then we do one like cold one. So like usually Mondays we'll do like, something simple, granola bar or something like that and everything.
So during the week it's varied.
Yeah, it varies. Yeah, so just like our breakfast menu is the same as our lunch menu. We have it on a 4-week rotation. So that way they don't have the same item reoccurring in that same month. And that cuts down on the kids having the same thing, saying I have the same thing. Years back we had we do food surveys for our students, we do food surveys sometimes for our parents will come in, and, and they'll tell us about the things that they want. And one of the big complaints we were getting was that the kids are eating the same thing over and over. Because at that point, we were doing only a 2-week rotation. So you're constantly, you see that twice. And so that was one of the things that we wanted to get away from by doing that 4-week rotation. It gives the kids more options to make sure, kind of like you would eat at home, you're not going to eat the same thing every night, so they have those choices, so.
Perfect. Well, let's get into it and let's see what it looks like for lunch and the regulations that we have to live by. And again, this is time for you guys to be educated on what it takes to run a food service program. Just the first page alone, you're like, wow, there's a lot, and that's just the programs we work with to feed our kids every day.
And so I wanted to put all the information for what we have to do to make a reimbursable meal. So first off, at the end of the year, we do 2 programs that for our USDA food program is one that we have to order all of our food for the entire year, for the next year. So all that happens in March, and so March is our big order. So we have to have all of our menus set for the next previous year because we have to purchase all of that stuff when we're going to begin in it each month. So that way we have that food items come in. So we've got our ground beef, our diced chicken, beef patties, peanut butter, peas, all these different items that we have that we put in our menu. And so we need to know how much we're going to need of that by having our menu set so we can order all that in March. And then we are part of what they call the Treasure Valley Bid Group, which is 2 Oregon schools and the rest are all Idaho schools, and there's 27 schools in that bid group. And so that gives us the buying power to purchase larger quantities, truckloads of food, so that way we get it at a better pricing. And so we joined that one, and it has saved us probably a good 30–40% in what we were paying for the same item before. And so like if I was to go to a vendor and buy that now, it would be, a good $15 to $12 to $15 more per box. But being part of the bid group, I can get that for that $15 less for that same item because you have, Ada County School District, Parma, all these different schools around us, that are all Idaho because all of our vendors are in Idaho. So we get much better pricing. So we have to have all that stuff set for the same thing. That's all in May. All of our stuff for the entire year of everything we're doing for breakfast, lunch, snack, all that stuff has to be ordered in and done at the end of the year.
So you actually have to plan for
ahead.
a whole year
Yes.
in advance.
Yes.
You have to essentially know that you're going to feed this many kids.
Yes. And how many juices you're going to need for snacks, how many snacks you're going to need, how much lunch items.
And what if we get tons more kids and you don't have enough?
Then we're going to be ordering more. And so, those are things that we always hope that they order more in that big group. So that way, if there is, more items that we need to purchase and stuff like that. But then when we do our USDA, we always try to make sure that we're ordering anywhere from 7 cases more than what we actually need. So that way, if we do run into that we, change up some menu items or something like that, or decide to make spaghetti more for the year or something like that, then we have that.
So if
available.
you wanted to change your menu, you you said in March, right?
Yeah, March.
If you wanted to change it in the middle of it, that's pretty hard to do.
Yeah, because all the food has already been ordered, everything has been set, and so for us to get the pricing of what we need and to get our USDA, we have to do all that prior to when we're ordering. So yeah, it's kind of it's an extensive plan. You have to be able to have every menu item, every item that we're ordering for the entire year. And so I think our bid group items, I think there's over 1,600 food items or something like that, just in our bid group. And that's not including items that aren't part of our bid, because then all that stuff is procurement, where we have to do a special procurement. And so most of the stuff that we do that is not part of the bid group, then it's micro purchases. And so we have to order that from a separate vendor or something, because there are certain items that the bid group does not have that we have on our menu. So like tamales, that's a big thing for our kids. They love their tamales. And so we finally found one that has a USDA CN label. So that way we can use that one for our child nutrition program. So we don't only have to meet that requirement, but we have to meet all the state and all the federal guidelines for everything that you're serving. So it has to have the 51% whole grain, has to be low sodium, it has to have the no trans fats, have to have the new sodium one is, they keep, every year they add a little bit to it, and then they added this year sugar. So they took that away from our cereals, our yogurts, a bunch of that stuff and everything, so that's all new provisions that we have to make sure to meet those requirements. So all of this right here is basically what each one of those items are that we have to have that breakdown to get that reimbursable meal, to be able to apply for anything.
And it has to have that USDA seal, right? 'Cause that's
So you have two different labels. You have a product statement label, which has to tell you what it credits as for its grain and its meat, or if it has a fruit or a vegetable. And so you have to have that product statement, or you have a CN label, which is a child nutrition label, and it costs, a lot of them don't have that because the manufacturers, I think they said it was like $300,000 or something like that to get a CN label, because the USDA is the one that comes in and does the analysis on the recipe, checks everything, and then says how it qualifies. So a lot of businesses choose to do that product statement because it's a lot cheaper, because they can do it in-house with a nutritionist or something like that. And so, but the child nutrition label that's the main one that we're always looking for, is that one. So, because it makes it easy for us, because it has exactly, this qualifies for this much meat, it qualifies for this much grain, and then, if it has a vegetable or something else in it, so if it's egg roll or something like that, that's gonna have multiple different things it qualifies for, so.
So to be reimbursable, does it have to meet every one of those requirements?
Yes. So I can't serve any item that does not meet those requirements. And so when we have our reviews every 3 years, they come in and they go through every product statement. They pick a week and they go through every single product statement. And if I don't have a product statement for it, then they'll take all the money back from that day, because you don't have a product statement showing that item qualifies. And then if you don't have it on your production record, exactly what it says of that, then they'll fine you for having your product not correct on your statement, because that's what you're claiming. So yeah, they're very, very thorough. They go through all of it. There's nothing, they don't miss anything. If you forget to put something down, they'll tell you. I mean, and as simple as not having, so for instance, we have to have a bean once a week, and if you miss that and say you had it, but you forgot to write it down on the production record, then you can't claim it, because it didn't happen. And so they're really, really nitpicky on all of it. And so if you don't meet these requirements, then they're gonna take money back.
So without the label and everything, say if you wanted to, I don't know, let's change it up, we're gonna make turkey for everybody, we're gonna do it ourselves, like, how do you figure out if that meets that requirement? What do you have to do?
So you first have to go through their recipe of what is made in it. And so the first thing is, if it has trans fats, you can't use it right off the bat. So if it's something that's like pre-made and it has, or MSG, you can't have that. Can't have any trans fats or anything like that. And so you would have to go in there and look at the label to see what that credits as, how much water it has, how much sodium it has, all those things. And if it didn't meet any of that criteria for the serving size of what you're going to be serving, then it wouldn't meet.
Is that why you guys don't have like turkey sandwiches on the menu?
No, we have turkey
Oh, you
sandwiches.
do?
Yeah, we do that. Yeah. And so that, and all the stuff we use is our USDA. And so we have like 3 different kinds of turkey and ham, but each one of them qualifies different depending on which one you're using. Because some are a thinner slice, some are a thicker slice, and none of them, we only have 2 items out of all of our USDA foods that meet the same as what the serving size is. So 1 ounce counts as 1 ounce of meat. Everything else is almost 2, and some are like 2.5. So it takes 2.5 just to meet 1 meat. So yeah, there's a lot. And so like if you're making up your own recipe, it's the same thing. You have to be able to go in there and do all the analysis on everything to say exactly how much that is, how much that credits, go into the food buying guide to look and see what that would credit for And so, yeah, it's,
So if you're doing something homemade, like you make in-house, it makes your life difficult.
yes, and so that's why we try to use as many of our USDA recipes that are out there. And then there's another one that is part of a national park, a national schools all come together, and it's called Healthy Recipes, and that's another one that started, because the USDA ones have been the same the 22 years I've been in the cafeteria. Basically, every once in a while they'll come up with a new one, but there's very few that they'll add that are new. And so it's like, you know, sometimes the kids are tired of having that same item or whatever, so you're trying to, you know, come up with new recipes. And so that Healthy Recipes site has been really great for us because we found quite a few new ones for the kids that they really like our cheeseburger penne pasta. And the kids really love that one. I mean, that goes over, kids are all like, can we have
That one
seconds?
you
Can we have
make
seconds?
homemade.
Mhm. And so we've got several of them that we do, like our chicken chow mein, our sweet and sour chicken. We've got our spaghetti. We do a pozzoli. I can't think of all of them right now. Tacos,
I think last week there was chicken Alfredo.
chicken Alfredo, yeah. And so we really try to find a couple new recipes every year and rotate those in. And then at the end of the year, we do a food survey for our kids. So K through high school, and we'll put it out there, and the kids will tell us, you know, hey, our favorite thing is this. And if we get something like, okay, we all hate sloppy joes, then we remove sloppy joes for the next year. Because our customers are those students. And so to us, that's who we market to. So, you know, we'll say a lot of times, we don't care if the parents are happy. The students are the ones that are here eating lunch every day. And so that's who we're really trying to make sure that we're finding those items. And if we wouldn't eat it, then we don't expect kids to say, oh yeah, I want to try that, or, you know, try something new or whatever. So that's really our big thing. And then special diets is another one. We've got 67 kids special diets this year, which is insane. And it's everything from every fruit you can imagine, dye, egg whites, pineapple, I mean, everything. And then we've got a bunch of them that are dairy-free, all dairy products. Everything is in anything. So we've had to be really creative on trying to figure out how to meet that requirement and still be able to make a grilled cheese for a kid that can't have cheese.
What are the requirements for kids with special diets?
So you have to have a doctor's note of an allergy that the student has, and so that's the first thing. And we're required to have that. And then we have to make any modifications for that student for that diet.
So you have to make a special meal for
Yes.
those 67 kids.
So anything is
Potentially.
different, yeah. And so if this kid, so like for instance, we got one girl that's allergic to bananas. We can't have any bananas at elementary.
And if you do have something that has banana in it, you have to make something else. for this
Yes,
person.
well, we can't even have bananas in that building. We've got another girl now at middle school that is allergic to pineapple. We can't have pineapple served in that
The
building
whole
anymore.
It affects
And
the
so-
student even,
Yeah, even if
around.
they're in the room. So we have all these certain things that we cannot do in certain buildings that we can do in other buildings, and so certain items have to be ordered. If I order in our breakfast cookies, we have an apple cinnamon one, we have a banana one. None of the banana ones go to elementary. All those go to middle school and high school, and so it's just really making sure, because if we do not do that and a kid gets sick, we can be sued, and they will win, because we made the mistake and fed a kid something that they're allergic to. So
But at
it's
the same time, everything has to meet
all the requirements still.
Are there any, like, allergies that, like, you just said, I could not serve this kid? Like, is that a thing?
Oh, no, but-
Because reasonable accommodations, right?
yeah, and so, I mean,
What
if
they're
it's something,
unreasonable? What is it, like, so difficult?
I guess at the cost of what it's gonna cost, but I mean, for instance, like a snack for a gluten-free. Okay, our reimbursement is, what, $1.27, I think, for a snack. Just the one snack item is $1.89, just for the snack. That's not including the 37 cents for the juice. So it doesn't even cover the reimbursement for that special diet. So that one makes it, special diets are really hard. And then like we have to get in
Sounds hard.
the, it's a vegetable cheese. It's really different. It smells awful, but it looks like mac and cheese when they make mac and cheese and everything else. But yeah, that's the only way. And we've got 7 of those kids. And so we have to buy them all that stuff. And then we have some of those kids that also have milk, not only milk allergies, but then they're allergic to something else. And so then you've got to make sure you don't have any of that.
And all these kids eat school lunch. They don't bring their own lunch.
We've only got, I think, 4 that don't eat at all out of all of them. And all the rest of them, yeah, the parents, they expect you. And then sometimes they'll even specify what they think. It's like, well, my kid is gluten-free and they don't like this bar. Well, I'm sorry, that's what we have. That's what I can get in. Well, you can get these from Amazon. Well, we don't order from Amazon. You know, we've got stuff that we need to order at a different price and stuff like that. So there's just a lot of moving parts continually, and so we're always trying to be on top of all that because we don't want to make a kid sick or do something because of something we've missed for the day. And you know, we've had a lot of shortages with staff. That's been one of our big thing. The end of the school year, we were out 3 to 4 people, it seemed like, every single day for the last month and a half. And then we started off the beginning of this school year, the first 35 days, we had 1 day that all of our staff was here.
And there's 9, right?
There's
9
9 members, that's what's.
Yeah.
So like today, we were out 4. And
How do you function with that?
we don't, we just get by. We literally, it's like, okay, today, Gina, you are down there like today, doing salad bars. You have to get all the salad bars set up for all of elementary and high school. Now you get done with that, now you better go wash dishes. Now you better go do this. You gotta take snacks over to elementary.
So you
It's
just
just-
double time it,
Everybody double times. Everybody picks up that weight because there's nobody else.
right?
You don't have somebody else to go
So
cook.
tell 'em. You don't want me in there. She
Ryan
said you can
likes
wash
serving.
dishes, that's what she said. Actually, I like serving.
He does like serving.
Yeah,
He likes talking to the kids.
yeah.
He likes to talk to you.
So basically, if someone donated a bin of apples to the school, could you use those, or could you not?
It depends, they would have to give us the specifications on if they sprayed them with pesticide, if they're organic. So all of that stuff has to be in that part of it when we receive items.
Okay,
So it's
and
like-
so when you have your inspection for that particular day that you served those
Yes.
apples, you would have to have all that documentation.
Yes.
Same thing with like someone donated a cow. I mean,
So we do get from the Macker County Beef Growers Association, every other year, they'll donate a cow, or 2 farmers will donate 2 cows. And so this last year, we got I think 800 and some pounds of ground beef. And so it was amazing. And so we made them a card and told them, thank you so much.
And you can receive that then?
Yes, we can receive that because they're inspected by USDA. And so the meat packing plant over there in Vail is where they have it done. And so that's all, USDA approved, and then it's all has to be inspected and all that stuff and everything. So, but if we get, a farmer brings in asparagus, it's the same thing. You just have to know what they put on that, when they sprayed anything or anything like that. So that way we can ensure that we are not serving students something that maybe that they're not supposed to be eating along with that,
Do we have any contracts with local growers to
We-
provide that?
We used to have Ashby's,
Yeah.
and so that's part of our farm to school grant. We used to have Ashby Farms, and they would grow us tomatoes, bell peppers, cucumbers, sometimes zucchini. We would get some zucchini and stuff like that, and they did do apples and everything, but they were doing everything organic, so we didn't have to worry about that part, and they were registered with the farm to school grant program for all that stuff, and they had all their documentation, and so we did do that for a while they were growing for us and stuff. But our farm to school grant money, we've been buying, most of our stuff we've been buying from the other side of the state because we don't have any growers on this side. The other side of the state, they have a lot of growers available to them to be able to get a lot of that produce and stuff and everything in. So we found a company that does dried fruits, which is wonderful because there's nothing added to it. They're just drying them, and it's got blueberries and apples and all these different things. And so we spend the majority of our money for that each year because it's something that's shelf stable that we can put on the salad bar, we can add it to their field trip bags and all that kind of stuff and everything. And if we had to buy it outright, we couldn't afford it. So,
It was like the cranberry thing that you guys get, is that what that is?
no,
That's
they're
different.
similar to the craisins, but these ones are actual, just whole dried blueberries, strawberries, and all that stuff and everything. And so we've been waiting to get all our paperwork done, so we just finished that up, so we'll be able to get our grant to order some more of those and for the kids, because they really like those, and then we do them for the snack program too.
So, and when you prepare the meals for the kids on their field trips, you have to make sure that,
They have every component, just like if they had a regular lunch. And so you actually have to give them more because, so for lunch, you have to, the student has to have half a cup of fruit, but you have to offer them a full cup of fruit. So they go through the line, they get a half a cup, they're good. But you still have to have another half a cup of offering on that salad bar, so if that kid wants it. So when you send out a field trip, if that high schooler, you have to send a full cup of fruit, because you can't just send them a half a cup, because now you're doing serve versus offer. And so that's the difference. When they're in here, going through the line or whatever, we can do offer versus serve. But then at breakfast time, we have to do serve, because of the fact that it's required for them to take a milk. They can't, say, no, I don't want a milk or whatever. And then all the kids that have the dairy issues, then we have to have soy milk for all of those kids. And so then that's another whole list of approved items, because there's like only, I think, 10 different soy milks that we're allowed to have, that the state allows as their reimbursable ones. So we have to make sure we meet that list too.
So we know, so when you order this stuff from USDA, we know it's different, right? It's not the same like you could buy at a store,
No.
right?
No, and it's just like all the rest of our products. So like I've had parents, I had one mom call me, oh gosh, when I first started, like 11 years ago, and she was mad because she says, you're just serving my kid a Pop-Tart. And I said, okay, the Pop-Tart that your kid is eating is not the same as what we are eating in our school. And she didn't understand, and I said, okay, you see True Moo milk in the stores, okay, and you buy that milk. That milk is not the same as the milk that we have. We have a special formula that we are only allowed to serve students that does not have, it has to have less sugar, it has to have less sodium, less calories, all these things. So that Pop-Tart is the same thing. It has to be 51% whole grain, it has to be low sodium. So it's the same product, but it's made to the formula specifications of what the schools have to have. So the same cereal, Marshmallow Mateys, whatever, all those different items are not made the same. They have to be specified for what our school has.
So the glazed donut packets are not like a glazed donuts, like Little Debbie's glazed
No.
donuts. Got
Yeah,
it.
because they're a 51% whole grain, they're the low sodium, low sugar, and so it's totally different. I know, and the kids are like, they only get them once a month, but they're always happy when they get it.
Those kids were happy that morning.
Yeah.
Here's a question, do kids know that, right? They say, hey, the school is feeding me donuts in these packets every morning and calling it good. I can now do that on the weekends or whenever I want because this is healthy. Like, do they know that, like, this isn't the same,
If you
guys?
told them
Like,
it was healthy, they wouldn't eat it.
that's
No, they
true, but
wouldn't.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they don't want to know that all the good stuff. I mean, every time they change a formula, it always takes the kids a little bit longer to get used to it. Like when they started changing a lot of the sugar ones, it's like, they're like, these, cereal bars don't taste the same. And I'm like, no, they probably don't. They've changed the formula in them, and so there's a lot of difference in the flavor, and I think it takes them a while, and then they get used to it, and a lot of times we've had kids come in and say, wow, this doesn't taste like the ones they get in the store. No, it's not going to taste like the ones they get in the store, because we're taking everything that makes it taste out of it. That's basically what they're doing.
I have a question for you. I went and ate at the school a little while ago, and
Yeah,
I ate at school all growing up. I
Yeah.
enjoyed eating at school.
Me too.
It was always great for me.
Yes.
I'm not very picky, and I'll eat it, and I could tell like there was a lot of effort to put in like healthy food. I'm a big fan of getting whole foods that are homemade as best we can.
yes.
Is there a way that as a school board, we could help you in getting more of those homemade meals done versus some of the more pre-made meals?
Well, it comes down to a couple things. So number one is that we only have one kitchen. So the other two kitchens that we have are called satellite kitchens. They are not cooking kitchens. They are, you have a oven and you have a warmer. And those are the two things, and a dishwasher. Basically, that's what those kitchens have in them.
What's the other one have?
So our main kitchen has everything. It has to have the steamer, it has to have your tilt skillet, it has to have your steam pot, your grill, all of those things that we cook all of those meals on. So all the meals are being made in the main kitchen. So we have one cook that does that. So you don't have the opportunity to have, there's no room in those kitchens to add any of that stuff.
Couldn't add it, even if we put money into it, you
No.
couldn't add it.
There's no room because everything is, you know, steamers, you gotta hook up water lines, all those different things. And then you have to have cooks that can cook in those too. And
So you have
so,
to hire 2 more cooks to cook.
yeah, 2 more cooks if you could get the buildings, which there's no more room to put anything in to do that. So,
Is there more room to add stuff in the main one?
not really. We have just outgrown every little inch in there and stuffed a piece of equipment everywhere we could, and we're to the point that our breaker box will not take anything else. Every time Ramey comes in, he's like, Gina, there's no more space to put anything else in, because we keep adding stuff, because we're trying to make it where we can cook more of those home cooked meals and stuff like that. And so we have everything, like, you know, I said, a lot of that stuff is, you know, priced out according to, we do always like a high priced item for the week, and then we have 2 mediums and we have 1 lower one. And it just depends on what the items are. And so we have some months that we're doing more home cooked items, because that's what we've had for our rotation on others. And then if we have like a big holiday section, maybe that might be during a time that we did a lot of home cooked meals or something like that. But trying to get more home cooked meals, there's not enough staff to do it, or staff
Even
to
if
eat
we
it.
funded more high-priced things,
You still have to
the
bring in.
function of doing it is not really there.
No. Just because you don't have enough staff to make sure you're showing up every day. It was like today, we were out 4 people. If it would have been a home cooked meal day, I don't know if we would have been able to get it done, because there wouldn't have been time to do it.
So it's staff, it's equipment,
Yes,
and money.
yes,
Those are the 3 things that limit your ability to cook more of those meals.
Yeah.
If we improve those, you could do them more often.
yes.
And structure for those.
Yeah,
Right, structure.
yeah. And so like,
Thanks.
one of the things that we looked at, I had me and my manager, I talked to Pam over in Ontario. I just wanted to go tour and watch how they served out their kids, looked at their kitchens. And so we went and did that and everything. And one of the things that we got done, we're like, well, all their kitchens are beautiful, because they all do these remodels all the time, which our kitchen has not been that fortunate to do that. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed, roofs and plumbing and all kinds of things. But one of the big things that we noticed was we just looked at their menus before we went over. And so we're sitting there looking at it, and they had pizza 10 times in that 1 month. They had hamburgers 10 times in that 1 month. So they just had this reoccurring of, this is what the kids want, so that's what they just kept making. And to us, that's like, that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to make more of those home cooked meals, and
Right.
you know, and turkey dinner, you know, on for Thanksgiving break and all these different things. And so we're constantly trying to figure out how to improve that. It's just that staffing has been the hardest thing for us lately.
So do
It's
we
just-
need to fund more staff?
I would hope.
Always say yes. Is
I
that
would
the way?
say, I would say yes, but then at the same time, they have to be here. I mean, so,
Can we have like a list of substitutes or something?
see, we haven't had subs, and that's another thing that kills us, because then we would know that we always had somebody there, because then you could have a sub that would come in and do that. But we found, the 1 year that you were letting me do that, then the sub would call in sick. So we're like, okay, so now I'm paying my regular staff member, now I'm paying the sub who's out sick. And so it just, you know, and then budget-wise, paying another staff member is a lot. I mean, right now, after our big increase that we had for our staff, that increase is making it where our staff wages is almost right up to what our food cost is. So that's hard. That's hard for me, because I look at that as, wow. these people aren't even here all the time, and that's almost exceeding what my food cost is. And that's what our job is here, to feed kids, but it's costing me almost as much for labor, just to have people on here. So,
So here's a question for you. And I think this home cooked, and I know you guys do amazing, tried it. How many times, maybe a week or a month, do you actually, like, the chow mein, the Alfredo, like those
so
things?
we have 7 of 8, 9, we have 9 of our, 9 times out of the month that we have our home cooked meals that are in there. And then the other ones are, you know, the kids, their pizza, their chicken nuggets, rib patties, hamburgers, things like that and stuff like that.
So 9 of like the 16, 17 days?
Yeah. And so we're always trying to rotate those in. And so then a lot of times, like during a break, you know, before a break time or something like that, we'll do some of those lighter, quicker ones and stuff like that, just because we don't want to have a lot of leftovers and things and stuff like that. And so we can roll some things over into the next day. And so you try to do simpler things like that where you're getting ready to go into a break because you don't want to have a lot of leftovers and stuff like that, so.
So if, I mean, pie in the sky, right? I think I kind of hear kind of the board is saying, right, we want to make sure these kids are fed well, home cooked things, like
We want to
setting that
support you.
example.
We want
Yeah.
them fed well, so.
Yeah,
If, you know, the board decided is like, hey, because, I mean, we set the budget, right, is like, we want, can we hire another staff member and let them have subs and put that in there? Would that increase the probability of you getting
yes,
more?
being
of those?
able to do that, because then we know that we have all the staffing to make sure that meal is put out. Because the amount of hours it takes from the time you have to start, because you're already, the first thing in the morning you're starting, you have breakfast. Okay, breakfast is gonna take the first 2 hours of your day. And then after that, then you're starting on lunch. And so it's just a constant go from one thing to the next, and then it's snacks. And so the staff only has, what, is it 7.25, Crystal? What is our, yeah, yeah. So they only have 7.25 hours. So they get a half an hour lunch and 2 breaks. So that takes away 45 minutes right there. That's what I have left to try to cook all the meals, do all the prep, all of our salad bars, all that stuff.
And if you could rely on 9 people every time, you'd have
Yes.
enough staff.
Yes.
It's just you don't get those 9
No.
So
often.
is the staffing issue, is that a recent thing? Is that just this year or was it?
No, it's been year after year after year, and it just seems to be getting worse and worse. I've been in here in this kitchen for 22 years, and I've never seen it as bad as it's been the last 5 years.
What is the percentage of call out sick? I mean, I know today's maybe a bad day to ask that, but kind of on average.
I think we've had 5 days that we had all of our staff so far this year.
Since school started.
Yeah.
Well, and they only get, how many, 9 days of sick leave a year, so
10.
10?
Yeah.
Okay, so are they all out already?
A lot of them, some of them are almost out of
You
their
have
sick
to
leave.
think that now Oregon allows PLO and all these other things.
Yeah, so we've had that too. We've had people on PLO, we've had people on maternity, we've had people on, a lot of different things. And so it's just trying to keep staff there because that's.
They just don't have the work ethic that they used to.
No, and so I tell everybody, I don't have all the sick hours that I have because I miss work. I just don't, because it's not gonna function. There's too many responsibilities, and then we've got, I gotta do carb counts for all of our diabetics every day, and so I have to get that out to the nurse, so that way she can get that out to our 2 buildings that we have our diabetic kids that are doing their carbs and stuff, and so there's not just the option.
So I think, you guys kind of set the stages. These are all the programs we work with. Here is the requirements that we have to meet every single day for every meal, plus the 67 kids, right?
Yeah.
Then the cost of it, and like I said, what really does make up our food nutrition program. And, it's something that obviously, Gina would say, and Mrs. Friel would say, if we want to invest more in it, we can, but we have to do it in the spring for next year, right? But that would be something, but there's just a lot to it. People just think that we throw something in a microwave, call it good, right? I mean, there's a lot of those things you have to meet. If you see, she has a binder just with labels cut out that's stuck in there, and she has a calculator, and so there's just a lot. But I do, what I appreciated when Nick said it is I went there, it was good, and Dustin said the same thing when he went.
Yes.
Mr. Martin said.
It was great. The salad bar was
Yeah.
spot
Yeah.
on.
that's always been our big thing, is to have those options for the kids, because we know a lot of them don't have, a lot of our kids don't have those options at home, you know, to try different things. And that's one of the things that has been important, like when we're doing like Thanksgiving dinner or something like that. A lot of these kids that are like, I don't know what this is. I don't know what Thanksgiving dinner is. And then, you know, and over the years, we've educated a lot of kids to eat, you know, different foods and try different things. And that's another thing. I remember when I first started, we were serving out kindergarten, and this little boy's come through the line, and he's just crying. And I asked him, I said, well, what's wrong? And he says, I hate sloppy Jose's. And I'm like, we were having sloppy joes. And so I looked at him and I said, well, have you ever tried them? And he says, no. And I said, well, do you like, you know, carne, you know, ground beef? And he was like, yeah. And I said, well, do you like tomatoes, you know, sauce? And he's like, yeah. I said, okay, you take one bite and you tell me what you think. And he's out in the dining room screaming, I love happy Jose's, you know. And so he was like all excited and everything. And so, I mean, it's just, it's always trying to, you know, those are our customers. Those people we're trying to, and we really do try to listen to what the kids are saying. You know, they'll come to the line, they'll tell us, high school kids will come up and say, you know, tell Chris, hey, that tasted great. You know, and when Freddie was here, the same thing, you know, Chef Freddie, we love this, or whatever, you know. There's a really good working group with our staff on, you know, what we're listening to the kids, and then, hey, that was, wish we had a little more, you know, flavor to it or whatever. And so we really tried to get a lot more spices and put a lot more stuff, because we've had to take all that salt and everything, you know, any bit of fat, anything that makes everything taste good out of it, you know. So that's always our important thing, is to make sure that we're putting that best food out, you know, that we can for the kids. And so, yeah, it's something that we could, you know, have more staff and or have subs, and so that way we know no matter what day we have, then if that's a day that we're cooking home-cooked meals, then we know that we have somebody there that can do that.
And if we got that, I mean, maybe we come back with that, Ryan, you could bring us some numbers on what that cost would look like to increase staff or get subs, or if there's an extra cost for doing more home-cooked meals,
Yeah.
like what that cost
So
would be.
what's funny is home-cooked meals are cheaper, but your labor is higher, because it's going to take you longer to make it. So you can get a grab-and-go item, which is going to be cheaper, and it's going to be simpler to put together, and so your labor is cheaper because that staff member can be doing something else. Where a home-cooked meal is less ingredients, because you're putting it all together and not having to purchase something already made. And so they are usually 9 times out of 10 cheaper than the item that you're buying.
So we don't need more budget for food for that, is what you're saying? We
Well,
just need more
food
budget.
is still, food prices are still getting ridiculous. They're still, you know, I really thought that we would not go over, but I think we're gonna go over this year, and that's kind of frustrating for me, because every year I'm really trying to estimate exactly what we're going to, you know, be spending in my budget for the year, and this year I think I'm gonna go over it again, like I did last year. And what was it, Crystal, last year? Like, do you remember what it went? at
How
the
much
end?
you went over food?
Yes.
Or overall?
Yeah,
Overall
just
budget.
food.
Oh, I don't know overall food. I just had the ending fund balance in my head, sorry.
Yeah.
What was ending fund balance and there was negative?
So we ended June 30th of 2025, $117,237 in the negative.
But
So-
also,
Which
oh,
then we did a transfer from the general fund to break that program even, so it was not a loss or a profit. And then on Monday, when I present financials for food service, ending October 31st, we are currently $51,552 in the red.
Yeah.
And it's only October.
Yeah.
So you're buying it all in March, but the prices aren't locked through the year. You're just putting an order in so they're prepared, and then they give you the
So-
updated prices they deliver.
Yes, and so, but they'll still, like, we'll have manufacturers say, well, we, due to this or whatever, shipping this item in or whatever, you know, then it's gonna cost more. And so the big one has been, like, eggs, and our produce and stuff like that. That just goes all over the place, and that one is not set. And our chemicals are not set, and so a lot of different things that we're using, they're set at the beginning of the year, but then they'll inch this up and they'll inch this up, and so it's not something that you foresee it coming. It's just, they're gonna say, okay, well, you know, due to this, then this is going, that's where this is going up, so. And so, yeah, it's just, it's frustrating me because my whole goal is to not go and exceed those budgets that I put in every year, because that's what I'm trying to stay within. And so, the food budget's really throwing me.
So
Bella.
tell us about your staffing. Do you have a lot of people who've been there a while? I mean, long-term type?
No, I think Brenda is my longest, because everybody else is retired. All the ones that started when I was here, they have all retired, and we always called ourselves the lifer ones. I always thought that was a joke, but now 22 years later, I'm thinking they're probably kind of right. But I don't know, it's just like people are more sick, they're just not healthy. I really don't know what it is. I show up to work every day, and so whether I feel good or not, and it has to be a lot for me not to be here, so I think
So you haven't had a lot of turnover, just
just
a lot
new,
of
just a lot of
absentee.
new, I mean, just a lot of new people. So I think the oldest one is Brendan, I think she's been here 8, and then Chris has been here 5, and everybody else has been in the last 3. So, I mean, it's just, but it's constant. I mean, we'll get one, and then we'll lose like 2, and then we'll get those 2, and then pretty soon, this person, I'm moving across the state, or I'm doing this, or whatever, and I don't know, it's a different kind of dedication, I guess. I get up every morning knowing that I have to be to work because kids are relying on me to do my job. And so if I have a headache or, my back hurts or whatever else, I'm still gonna get out of bed and go to work because that's my job. And I think a lot of the younger groups of people, if their back hurts, then that's a sick day. I have a headache, sick day, and so, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just, coming back from COVID, it has just changed.
Oh, yeah.
The whole job
The
market.
whole dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah, because COVID was crazy. It was crazy.
Perfect. Gina, very thorough, thank you. Any other questions for Gina? And I will have some information from you guys, some projections in that, just so you guys can make informed decisions in the spring. So.
Did you work here at Cheese Yum Yums?
Yes.
What, no chance of getting those back?
Oh, I wanted to do them. They do not meet any of our qualifications. I do not know why. It could be all the butter and ham and, bread that's not 51% whole grain. Yeah. I wish we could have
They were
cheese
bomb.
back.
You never had them?
Oh, yeah.
Mine were the day we.
Homemade bread and then like melted cheese and
And ham and
Homemade
everything,
bread,
yeah.
this big square with the tomato sauce.
Gooey cheese going on everywhere. Yeah, no, I had them in high school when I was here, so yeah.
Well, they used to do hamburgers for us, and then they had fries.
Yeah, and then it moved
They
out.
always had the seconds on the fries, and everybody fought over.
Yes, yeah, it's like everybody's watching with one eye, watching to see if
Yeah,
they're
before it's-
print. Yep, everybody dives in for them. But I don't know. But everything is in here, so it kind of gives you an overview of all the different requirements. I put what the product statements look like, what we're required to do, and then at the end, I put just a regular 1-week production paper. So this shows you that big long one at the end. What our requirements are just to meet for the week for the requirements for. So when you see their little charts in here, it's kind of hard to understand what they're asking. But when you look at it that way and you see how much has to be put out there just to meet the requirements for the daily and the weekly, it's kind of crazy.
This was last week, so it's.
Yeah, this is last week's, so I wanted to do something recent. And then at the end, I put the meal reimbursement pricing and then our September edit sheet with our meal counts and stuff like that. So that kind of gives you an idea of what we're averaging per day for high school and middle school and elementary. And then we do the baby program, not the baby program, the preschool. So we do the migrant and then the preschool promise. And so we have meals that we have to do for them also. So that kind of gives you all the numbers so we kind of see what we're doing every day. So.
You know that we appreciate it. It's a lot of hard work.
Lots of hard work there. Thank you.
No, I appreciate all your guys' support. That's how we get through the day so we can make sure we're doing the best for our kids, so.
How many meals a day do you make?
So there's about 670 breakfasts and then there's about right under 900 for lunch. And then we're doing anywhere from 3 to 500 for snacks.
With the cell phone thing where they can leave it and be on their cell phone, are you noticing a lot of high school kids not coming to lunch?
Yeah, because you'll see them like out in the parking lot and stuff like that with their phones and stuff like that. But a lot of times you'll see them, they come in, because we do a lot of the grab and go stuff, so that way we get some of those kids not to go to Subway and different things like that, because we want them to eat. And we know that they're gonna run out of money, that always ends up happening. So like the beginning of the month, they'll run out of money and then they'll all start coming back into the cafeteria. So it's cool to go eat Subway, but then they can come back and get it for free at the cafeteria, so.
If you notice, they have the bulldog boxes, like the chicken wraps, those things for the high school students, because, you know, Gina's
Yes.
already noticed it. And I
So
think
they can grab that and go?
Yeah.
180 kids you said today of high school, which is, I mean, over half of our high school kids eat, which is a
Yeah,
really
for
good
open
number.
campus, for kids that don't have to be here, so that's what we're always gearing towards, you know. Have those kids save the money, buy themselves clothes or shoes or something they, you know, something else they need, instead of spending uptown, you know, $10 every time they go to town to eat, so.
It's not like they have a lot, it's really so
Oh, they have like a bag of Takis and a big old soda, they do that a lot. You see
Yeah.
kids walking down the street and I'm just like, oh, you should've went and got lunch.
Yeah, it's free, right?
Yes, it's free and you could've got a lot more food.
Diet Coke.
Yeah.
High school lunch.
Well, thank you. Any other questions for Gina about food nutrition?
Thank you.
No,
You're
just we
thorough.
appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Gina.
Hey, thanks you guys.
Perfect.
This is great
Yeah.
information.
Yeah. And just really quick on that, we sent a letter out this evening about a food program which we talked about that we're doing to kind of help supplement. We do know that there are some things the federal government's kind of trying to supplement, but it's nowhere near fully funding SNAP. And then in a couple weeks, WIC will run out as well for about 2 weeks. So we're putting some things together to help kind of bridge that gap. Obviously, it's not a fix, and you know we are a school district and educating kids, and so we're pulling those resources. And so, been working with Gina, and not only with our community partners, but putting some food boxes together for our families. And so we kind of, right now, we're saying if we can get 1 box for the weekend, about $5 per kid, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is, right? And we do about 100 a week, right? So it's about $100 a week on that we're supplementing through that we'll have to kind of work on. But during this time, we're just pulling all resources we can. So if you read in the letter, we're asking, you know, like, hey, if people can help donate, especially our food bank, which you guys were telling me, our food bank, they're bare, it's empty. So homecoming game, we did a food drive that we're going to get down to the food bank. Thursday, we have our college night, where we have some colleges come in, they're doing a movie. We're asking for food donations there as well. I mean, it's really going to take the whole community coming together.
Cans and stuff like that.
Cans, exactly. And so there's a list in there, some things, rice, pasta, cold cereals, anything that is, they call shelf stable. And so anything we can do for our community right now is definitely well appreciated. So it's every week we're going to be meeting saying, what are we missing? How do we get better and do that? Because it's a pretty fluid situation. So.
And you've got a way of targeting the boxes of food will go to the families that really need it.
So right now, the counselors are identifying students that do have those food insecurities.
Okay.
And then in that letter, I also put out a survey that is saying this is very confidential. It does not get released to anybody else, right? And it doesn't say how much money you make. It doesn't say any of that. If you are experiencing that, please let us know and we'll contact them. And so what does that mean? Can we get you connect with Community in Action? That's going to be one of our primary ones because they have the boxes, they have the way to get here. Can we help you get to the food bank? And so it's going to be a lot of conversations with each individual family and saying, you know, how can we help? So but that's how we're trying to identify right now. It's not going to be perfect. We're going to do everything we can though. Okay, so good. Perfect. Any questions about that? Perfect. Okay. That's food nutrition. Thank you.
Appreciate all of that, Ron. If there are no questions on our food and nutrition review and our plans for nutrition, we'll move on to item 2, which is the OSBA election. As I reviewed that, there's only actually one individual on that pertains to our area. And that would be the Legislative Policy Committee person, who is Bruce Cavan from LeGrand. And he's held a position for the previous year. It was a long session, now we're entering the short session. So, and I'm not quite sure how many things are going to come back that are going to really impact us.
What if you, so, there's a lot right now, so.
And when does that election opens, or?
It's
I
open.
think, yeah, it's open now,
It's
and then,
October 15th.
15th.
yeah.
So you guys will vote, if you decide to
Like,
elect or cast your vote for him, then you'll do that on Monday.
yeah, we have to do it Monday or else it's, I mean, we don't have to, I think we've done it before where we missed a date on that, but if we could on Monday, yep.
Okay. If there are no other questions on the OSBA election, I think we will complete that on Monday. And we'll move on then to policy updates. There's a whole handful of stuff.
There is, well, and so these are, this is our second reading, as we know, right? And so any other questions, they haven't changed since when we came out in August, so the same ones, but we just, again, want to make sure we're thorough. You guys have had a couple more opportunities to read them. And so if there's any questions or any clarifying things before we get in there, but we're not going to adopt until December, correct, Megan? Because this month is our second reading. I mean, we could technically do it in November, but we usually do two. Yeah,
I
so,
mean, there's a lot here we really need to look at.
yeah. So if there are any other questions, if you've reviewed them, now's a good time.
So as, one of the questions I had was that I was looking at the very last one, which is the directory information. And on exclusions, it talks about information will not be given over the telephone except in health and safety emergencies. Over the telephone, does that mean also text messaging, that type of thing? I mean, I'm just curious about that one because, it says it will only be released, information will only be released with administrative direction.
So for me, when I read that one, I was thinking like, if we're calling 911, that's where we would kind of give some health things. Is the student does have an allergy, and those things. But I mean, other than that, we wouldn't be releasing unless it was an emergency. So, but I don't know where we would release a text message, that kind of information over a text message. So,
It would be.
yeah.
I had a couple questions.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't got through everything yet, but this one went well reading it as it, but the Igbab Jawar.
IGB, yes.
IGBAB.
Yeah.
JOAR.
Big Dog Jawar.
So
IGB.
It's IGBAB.
EAB/JO/AR.
Yeah. On second page, we have crossed out, so this is for permanent records for each student. We've crossed out such additional information as the district may prescribe. Is there other information that we normally have kept historically that we need to have added to this, or? Okay, so there's not a concern if there's going to be something that pops up and we say, oh, we want to keep this in the student record, but it's not covered by this?
Not that I know of. I mean,
No, everything in our files is very well scripted out, so we
Okay.
know exactly what's needed, what for compliance.
Okay, so there's not like we've got 60-something students who have special diets. I mean, does their special diet need to be noted?
Yeah, well, that would be in there, any health that's a health record, so
Okay.
that would be in there, but like, if,
4 or 5.
Even discipline records, there's a time frame that those get purged.
yeah,
Okay.
So that files get purged,
So you're really only keeping the bare minimum.
Okay, so we're confident this is gonna cover it.
Yeah, it's not like, hey, did you have anything for my kid in kindergarten? And drew a picture. It's like, nope, that's bare basics in
Yeah.
there. So, yeah.
Okay, and then. Never mind, scratch my other question, just down there.
Like I said, we're only on our second reading, but we still have another one. But I do think our next round is in November. So, once we get these ones adopted, as we kind of go through as presented, we'll have a new round to continue to go through. So, yeah.
That's exciting.
And this is pretty light, actually. I mean, really, there's not.
Compared to last year.
Yeah, compared to this, yeah. So. Perfect. Okay. Any other questions or anything?
Our equity committee, you do have that established, they said that it has
Yep.
to be.
And I talked to a budget board member last week, actually, when we were in Vail. And so we do now have representation of a budget board member on there as well, which is, yep, Mr. Cleaver, which is part of the requirement, and he has agreed to do that with us, so, which is good. So we're meeting all those requirements.
Great.
So are they gonna start meeting or?
Yes.
Yes, we had one meeting and we are planning on having another this month. No, I was gonna say in November and then I realized
We're in
that it is
November.
November.
So,
Christmas tree's already up.
that's awesome.
Good job.
Oh, my. Perfect.
Okay, any other questions so far on our policy update?
Well, we were just discussing the BHD and wondering what everybody thought of that.
Would we like to discuss that?
Oh, yes.
The board member stipend is in reimbursement. Yeah.
So, do we just let the budget committee make a determination on that?
On the reimbursement,
Yeah, because doesn't the policy say, and find it,
Up to like 500 a year?
yeah, so it's up to, they put it in the budget, and so it can only be up to that amount in the budget, and then individual board members can choose if they want to accept it or not. And so it can be put in the budget, and I realize as a board, we end up voting on the budget too, but.
well, and that is what the government ethics committee has the little waiver about.
Right, and I'm guessing this is their fix, of saying instead of having the board vote on giving themselves it, let's put it on the budget committee.
Well, I think it's a two-step thing. One is, are we interested in even opening the door to pay, you know, to you guys have, you know, you do have extra costs as travel and things like that in your time. Stipends, if you want to open that door, first then you're allowing the budget committee to do it. But is the board even interested in opening that door? Because you could even say, you want to do this, budget committee says, yes, $500, and Dustin, you can say, I don't want to take it, you know, this is part of my civic duty, I'm saying, but it doesn't matter. Like Portland, it'll say, Nissa School Board elects to pay themselves, right? And so.
Yeah, I can just see.
Yeah.
I will tell you that it is nice, it would be nice to have that option, simply because it is expensive for different members to serve on a board, especially if someone has to provide babysitting for their families, or, you know, think about it. You spend a lot of money traveling back and forth to meetings. I know that when I was on the TPCC board, there was reimbursement for traveling. But I also remember that I used to take my kids out to the tractor so Noble could take the kids and babysit them, because we didn't have a babysitter. And I used to do that 2 and 3 times, you know, even more than that. But I will tell you, he got very good at singing Old MacDonald with the
That's
boys.
awesome.
But, you know, that is that's something that you need to consider.
Do they, so I read that there's a stipend up to $500. Are there other ways of like, that are true reimbursements?
So if you go to conferences and those things, we do reimburse
Yes.
travel, but we don't have like a standard, you know, maybe.
That, I mean, is that an option other than a stipend? Like a certain amount? I'm just, I can totally understand what you're talking about. I mean, I've been there when, you know, funds are limited, who's gonna watch your kids, you wanna do a service. But also I can totally understand the community saying, you're making money doing this, you know? So I think there's both sides of it. If you were to be able to do it as a reimbursement, it would look better than just receiving money. I don't know if that's even a possibility within this code.
Good question. I don't know that, but I,
For
yeah,
reimbursement though, you're going to have to bring.
provide,
a receipt.
yeah. No, then you're
So,
good.
you know, that's one thing to look at. As far as the stipend, you can refuse it also.
Which is, yeah, absolutely.
So,
But if
this
that-
is something I
Is,
think.
is the enterprise gonna write that these people refused it?
The enterprise isn't writing anything.
No,
Yeah.
That's
But-
what's gonna be said, and so I wanna, you know, recognize that's something that.
If there was just a fund where like, I don't know, young kids, but like, if I needed to provide a babysitter, I could say, hey, I have to have a babysitter tonight. And you guys could say, well, here's either.
Like just get a card for gas.
Provide that.
or
And instead of spending the money in the gas, you can pay your babysitter.
Or what,
Get a monthly.
But we might get in more
Cart.
trouble for reimbursing personal expenses than we would in establishing
Yeah.
stipends. I think.
You
I
would.
was just thinking, I don't have to pay babysitter,
Right.
obviously, but.
Right, no, I'm just thinking if it's reimbursement for what's historically a personal expense, I think we're gonna be in a lot more trouble than approving a
We
stipend.
know the legal stuff, so we're trusting you. I was just
I
wondering.
get what you're saying.
You know, if your
I
wife,
love the idea,
if your wife was gone, and you had to hire a babysitter for your kids and.
which I would have to.
And you don't have to set it to 500, right? You could say, because people don't realize the commitment you guys make. I mean, it's not just about these meetings, it's about all the other sides. We haven't started negotiations yet. We haven't, I mean, there are so many of those things and hours and hours and hours that, but again, you could just say, yeah, if we have average 2 meetings a month, it takes this much time, you know, and then we're just gonna say $100 a month for personal expenses on that. So that would be, I don't know, that, for me, that's what I would look at is as a board saying, here's how much it's costing you guys to be here on average, so. But again, next in December, if you don't want to vote it in, that's okay too.
Is it a time frame we need this voted in by?
Pardon me?
Do we have to vote it in at a certain time frame, whenever?
This is not it's not required unless you're gonna use it, right? Megan?
Yeah, so the budget this year, there's no budget for board stipends this year, so if it's something we wanna do for next year, you probably need to, pass this policy prior to
Before the budget
June,
meeting.
when I ask for the
Sounds
budget to be
fine.
adopted.
I truly think that it's something worth our considering. And, you know, we do get reimbursement for, you know, traveling to different conventions and things. But again, I think a stipend might be worthwhile thinking about. You know, you would like to attract more people to serve on school board. And it would be nice to have people who have kids and not just the dads with moms. You know, so I think that it's worth thinking about.
My only problem with opening the door on something like that is the, future, or the, you know, the possibility of, I'll say abuse, not saying we would do that, but there's always that possibility. Or, it's like taxing, we're gonna start with this, then just increase, makes it rough.
Especially when you guys kind of set the budget as well, it looks a little weird, right? I mean, it's just, how much should we pay ourselves? let's do a little more money then.
Well,
Anyway.
but you know, I'm just saying, and it's a stipend, it's not a salary.
Still will be, I'll follow it up with a 1099 at the end
Yep.
of the year.
It
We'll
is.
have to
You
report.
would, well, you have to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Income.
And then you'll get people that wanna be in the board because of the money, not because they wanna help the kids. Cause there's a lot of people that will ask, okay, you're on the board, how much do they pay? Nothing. So you go and do all this stuff and you don't get paid? Yes.
And what is it, about $5,000 a year total, is that what it adds up to be? 6,000, yeah. So, people, for $6,000, people do a lot of things.
And then you never show up for a meeting.
So, I mean, I think what Pat was saying, we do definitely need to consider it for sure, and look at the pros and the cons.
So I think it's worth our thinking about.
So the good part about that one, we can kind of table it, but I think we've opened the conversation now as a board, and you guys can talk about it, but we can table it, it doesn't have to be December. So.
And I kind of mix that in with number 3A. Some August 2025 updates is about the meeting we're just at in Vail, right?
Mhm.
The one thing that I picked up on that I think we might need to do a little bit of a change. When we've been doing our votes, we primarily will call for, all in favor, and if it carries, we don't call for all opposed. It's just, we've got 5 or 4, however many vote for it. But in that meeting, they said that we've got to record each board member's vote. And so I think we have to call for opposing votes too. And so just keep that in mind as we discuss what we want to do as far as if there's a stipend or not. When it does come to a vote, we'll probably have the ayes and the nays. And I think we have to start calling those out. Was that everybody else's impression from that?
I think we used to.
Those all in favor, and then, or sustained as well, right?
And if you abstain from a vote, you have to announce your reason.
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
The reason, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Like a conflict of interest or just something simple like that. You're supposed to state.
Similar when I abstained from the SRO pay vote.
And to, just branch on from what you said about Monday night's meeting, how did you all feel about the meeting?
My phone died, I listened so long. Literally did. I'm like, oh, it's dead.
Well, the food was excellent,
The content was kind of dry.
but a lawyer presented it, so that's what we expect.
He was excited.
Darn.
Yeah, it's like, this is great.
The tables look nice. I saw the tables.
Yeah, it was a lengthy.
It was stuff we needed to hear, I guess.
Yeah, the information was good. I mean, we know we need to make the change on how we call for votes, and we talked a lot about potential restrictions coming in finances, but Ryan, your email this week addressed that won't affect us this year, but later on, so. I know you guys are ahead of the curve on that, so.
Yes. I'm stressed out about it.
And then they talked about
Yeah.
negotiations, one board
Yep.
member there instead
Yeah,
of
that's
two.
it, because we've always had 2.
Always said 2, yeah. So, and it doesn't matter if it's a 5 or 7, it's just 2. Because that's how I asked him, right? Well, I mean, if there's 7 of us, then isn't that different?
We
Because if
still
it's a
have
5,
to only
it's
have
2,
one.
right? So nope, 2 is 2 is 2.
So we can
So-
still only have 1.
Yep.
Okay, so I honestly don't understand this, because 2's not enough to make a decision on behalf of the board. So, and aren't labor negotiations, closed session anyway?
No, they're open session. That's what they're saying, because
they're
you're an
open
it's
session.
an advisory committee to the board directly. And so, that's why it's public meeting law. And so that's why well, what if you go in caucus, right? Because we do talk numbers and those things, and said, everything has to be if you have 2 or more, so,
Okay, all right.
yeah,
Yeah, that was.
yep, so.
So we'll only need 2 people to do negotiations this year.
Oh, yeah, one for classified, one for certified. So, but I don't, yeah. So. Good stuff. We got better. It's only classified.
It's only classified.
It's only classified.
Who throws
Yeah.
that time in there?
No.
It's only classified.
That's only money, so.
Why one person for negotiations, though, that seems kind of tough. Is
Yeah.
the board just gonna get the daylights, that member of the board just gonna get the daylights beat out of them during the negotiations?
Well, it should be one board member will be the public.
Yeah, we'll have,
Oh, yeah.
we'll have our team still there, but that's a lot of, and she said a lot of districts go, you know, they have a lawyer that is in charge of negotiating for them, and they just go and they do that, and so it's just,
But they need a board
stepped
member
away.
to come back and report to everybody.
No, because you're hiring legal counsel to do it.
Yeah.
And so they can come back and report directly to the board, which is, you have your confidentiality and a clause in there, so, that's, a lot of districts are doing that now.
So in that situation, can you come back to the board and report to the
Mhm.
board?
Yes, so. We
But if-
pretty much do it.
But if you hired a lawyer to do it, you would want the lawyer to be there for the whole board so they can know exactly what the board wants done. It gets more expensive on legal fees to have Ryan communicate with the lawyer and then back to the board and then that trifecta instead of just getting the information directly to that person.
And yeah, and we'll all make the recommendation either way, so it'll be good. But I think everybody here, except for Nick, I think has been part of negotiations, right? I think you have, yeah. Guess who just volunteered? So it's a good learning experience. So,
If we say your name, it just informs us already.
Yeah.
Bad about that. When we mention your name.
I'll just die again. Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so the only other thing is the Nissa Elementary School is having their Veterans Appreciation Day.
Yes. On the
Monday
11th?
the 10th.
The 10th, yeah.
They're having an assembly, which is a very nice assembly. I sent Shane a text today saying, I cannot attend this year. But I would encourage you, if you can, to attend, it is very nice. And we need to teach our youngest citizens what other citizens have done and continue to do.
The high school's not doing one?
I think they're gonna partner up on some things on it, but it's not exclusive. But if we start having more than one, which we are wanting to do, you know, we wanna move it to the gym and do something big because it's, the whole community should be honoring our veterans, so, yeah.
Is there any other thing that we need to discuss this evening? Okay, so go home and do your homework on these policies and such. And that, I would just remind you that our regular board meeting is